What happened to crypto gaming? Obviously, the hottest narrative in the last part of the 4 year cycle in 2021. And a lot of people were thinking that this could possibly be one of the biggest narratives to ever hit the crypto scene. On top of that, people thought it would be the biggest mass onboarding event. And look, I was one of those people, and a ton of influencers and big accounts on Twitter were thinking the exact same thing. So what we're going to go over in this video is what exactly happened to crypto gaming, why is it in such a bad state, and potentially why is crypto gaming completely dead at this point in time, and what would be the potential route future. I'm going to keep it very transparent and very candid in this video. So before we get started, guys, drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more every single week here on In the Game. We have you covered top to bottom, everything you need across crypto, prediction markets, and more. And a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We would not be able to do this without our sponsors. Today, we're going to talk about 𝗓𝗏𝗏. 𝗓𝗏𝗏 is probably the top AI project on the Binance Smart Chain, and they recently launched their 𝗓𝗏𝗏 Launchpad as well. So you can launch games, media assets, 3D assets inside of different worlds. On top of that, you can utilize their Launchpad, which, like I mentioned, did just recently launch. So check out 𝗓𝗏𝗏 down below in the description, the official sponsor for today's video. Now let's get into honestly, the sour topic. I mean, I'm one of the biggest crypto gaming believers. I think that this industry had so many opportunities for a breakout and for potential upside. And at the same time, we just never really hit that escape velocity. Over the course of time, we've had some successes. If we look at the past, with Axie Infinity, the initial run for Gunzilla was fantastic. When we look back at 2024, we had Mavia as well as Pixels hit the scene at the exact same time. They did very well as far as an in-game perspective. We've had promising titles come out. I mean, when you look across the board and you see titles like Thetan Arena back in 2021, that was a fantastic product, which was ruined by tokenomics, which really has been the big fault of this industry. Let's just take a look at what's transpired over the last 3 months, right? So GameFi has probably been the worst vertical that we have ever tried in crypto. Now that is pretty bold, but at the same time, when you start digging into the facts of it, it actually is true, and it hurts for me to say. People like Gunzilla raised more than $82 million. And now they're currently trading at around $118 million FDV, down 90% from all-time highs. Shrapnel down 99% after raising $57 million. Pirate Nation raised more than $33 million, and they also shut down this project, which is down 99%. And I agree with this thesis here. Massively overvalued and overfunded rounds, VC, cap tables that are looking to only extract money from these ecosystems, horrendous tokenomics, obviously. I'm at the point, and I'll talk about this in a second, but I don't know if tokens belong in games. And we'll talk about that whenever I get to the resolution side of what I think could be better for crypto gaming. Weak products, obviously. A lot of these teams come from low-level positions at studios. They'll say that they worked for Activision, Ubisoft, Epic Games, but really, what did they do? They probably designed one map point of interest or something like that across a game with 20 maps and various game modes. Whenever someone says that they work for a company in the past, it honestly means nothing anymore in crypto gaming. Max value extraction. Honestly, these teams, once they raise money, they basically quit. They knew they didn't have to build a quality game, and they just said, you know what, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. And that's unfortunately what has happened with most gaming projects. And then close to zero real value created. It's painful. I mean, looking back at 2021 time period, and really 2022, 2023, 2024, I think, was when the industry really started having major flaws. And I think that this still has legs in the future. And as I mentioned, we'll talk in a second about what I think could be better. And we can look across the board. 𝗓𝗍, still a big proponent of the Web3 gaming space, and a good friend of mine. He's still very bullish on gaming. He asks what went wrong, and I thought the comments were pretty interesting. So, wrong incentives from day one. Obviously, people were there to make money, not to really play the games. And look, I'm a proponent of that, right? Coming from the traditional side of gaming, I was tired of sinking my time into, grinding assets. For me, it was Call of Duty Warzone. I'd buy skins and stuff, but you should be able to sell those on an open market. I still firmly believe that at this point in time. But same for me. I came to the Web3 gaming space when Axie launched because I saw you could make money off of your assets, which I just thought was an intriguing, you know, I think that was a really good use case. But at the same time, we see here people saying wrong incentives from day one. And I do agree. Like I said, tokens should not be a part of games. And we'll talk about that in a second. ICOB says projects optimized for rewarding locust swarms instead of creating games that people actually want to play. Then we see 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 saying 90% of businesses fail overall, so why are we acting surprised? Good point, but at the same time, when you raise this much capital in an emerging sector, it is pretty embarrassing to see how many of these have gone to quite literally zero or have completely shut their doors. And yes, projects continue to shut their doors. We have Aether Games, who were partnered up with the Wheel of Time IP. They recently shut down, and they blamed everyone but themselves. We have 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 shutting down, which I think was going to be the biggest game launch on Abstract of this year, to be completely honest with you. On-chain heroes aside, and Gigaverse aside, I think that this had so much potential in that avenue. And let's just look at some of the data. It's crazy to read this. We go down here. Blockchain gaming activity has dropped 17% quarter over quarter, reaching 4.8 million daily active wallets, the lowest since 2023. Over 300 gaming products went inactive this quarter. That's 8% of all gaming apps that were listed on DApp Radar. Metaverse NFT volume, sales count rose, but volume has fell 26%. Investments in blockchain gaming just hit $73 million, down 20% from Q1, and a staggering 93% less funding into the gaming space in the year of 2025. Now, this was posted in July, so things could have changed, but the VC interest in Web3 gaming has basically vanished. Now, there are some bright spots. Let's just take a look here. I want to point out some bright spots. So a couple weeks ago, we had a TGE come through the space. And mostly when a gaming token has gone live recently, it has done nothing but absolutely crash. But what we see here from Fableborn's Power Protocol, this thing launched at about 11 cents. And people were able to get an airdrop for this as well. And you can actually see this is up 3x. It's up 300% over the monthly chart. And this just recently launched. So this has been a big win for the gaming space. On top of that, we see Galaxia coming out soon, which Planet X is the core game of this ecosystem. It's kind of like COD Mobile meets Web3 in a way. But what they're doing is they're onboarding a ton of different mainstream esports, content creators, and they are actually the quote unquote owners. So the players own this game, combined with 30 billion views, 200 million followers. Some of the biggest names in mobile gaming are officially out here. So it's really cool to see this. I am really bullish on, what this is going to materialize to. Galaxia, Planet X, their ownership model. It is for the players, by the players. That is a model that I think has always been missing in crypto gaming. We also see Zinc coming soon, the airdrop season for Star Atlas. You can farm this now. This is going to move all of Star Atlas's transactions on chain on their own Solana SVM. We see Providence launching their token soon. They raised $16 million. Their game is incredibly fun, so I'm rooting for these guys big time, and I do think that this could succeed, given the fact that their team actually does have real experience, and like I said, their game's quality. So I think that this is definitely one to have your eyes on in the future. But the problem is there's not a lot of intriguing products coming through the Web3 gaming space right now. And I want to just talk candidly on how do we move forward from this? What can potentially be the fix to what we're seeing here with, overfunding, overvalued projects that VCs just have, wrapped around their fingers to do whatever they want with, horrible tokenomics because they're just manufactured for the insiders and VCs to dump so that way that the retail gets absolutely wrecked, and then the teams that just don't care to build. Number one, I think that games inside the economy don't need tokens. And what I mean by this is the asset should be the only thing that matters. So whenever you jump in the game and you have a skin, a weapon skin, or a piece of armor, camouflage, whatever the case is, you should just simply be able to unlock or purchase these and then retrade them on the marketplace. I've said this for 4 years, but products continue to launch tokens, and at the end of the day, that's what we have to play into is the token side of these economies and in these games. But I do think there's no need for a token. The token is strictly so these products can raise money. That's it. But in reality, the project would make way more money if they get a couple of good backers, get a little bit of funding, and say, hey, this game will make revenue because of the trading inside the game. Number one, create a good game. People will leave a game if it's crap. It doesn't matter, okay? So create a good game. Number two, create assets of value inside said game. If your game catches traction, has a solid player base, people will trade these assets. There are people that buy skins on Fortnite, CSGO, Warzone, all these different games, hand over fist every single day. And that's the biggest money maker in gaming today is microtransactions, which is the stuff inside the game. I don't care, whenever you look and initially in this industry, people said, well, Fortnite VC or Fortnite bucks, V-Bucks or whatever, VC inside of NBA 2K, COD points inside of Warzone, that is the token. It's not the token. They're just imaginary currency, all based off the dollar value that you're spending inside the game. So what I think should happen here, assets should be the leading driver, and the leading driver has to be the product, okay? No more promises of Ponzi-nomics. Was that fun when it happened? Yeah, of course. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 and all these different games over the course of time that had crazy Ponzi-nomics and earnings, schemes inside of them. Yeah, they were a really good time, but they would never last the test of time given that it was literally Ponzi-nomics. Moving forward, I think you take away the token inside the game, only trade the assets of value on the ecosystem on a peer-to-peer marketplace. The project can make money off the transaction fees between the players. Blockchain can be the mechanism where the players transact. This happens every single day in all the mainstream games in the world. And I think we eliminate the token side, have a great product, and that's how we move forward in this industry. And unfortunately, not a lot of projects have been willing to just take that stab because they want the exit. They want the VC money that lets them go sip mojitos in an undisclosed location where they can't be extradited to the feds or whatever the case is. And they just pull the rug on their product after raising tons of money. Say they ran out of money, but really nobody knows where that money went. So it's unfortunate. I do still think that gaming has a space in Web3, but I think it's nowhere near what we've seen right now. Sure. If a token actually just treated it like a stock, this is the stock in the overarching ecosystem of Gunzilla, let's just say. One of my favorite projects, one of my favorite games over the course of all of crypto. It's probably the best game that's ever come out in the crypto space. Unfortunately, their token is the in-game currency, so people just continue to slaughter that token. It's not like you own a stock over Gunzilla. It's not the same thing as, owning Activision stock or something like that. And it's because they're deriving value from the in-game economy, and people are just absolutely relentlessly earning these tokens and dumping these tokens on the open market. So I really hope to see a change in this industry. And I know myself, 𝗬𝗟𝗏𝗏, Alex Becker, Sam Stefanina, 𝗍𝗏, all of us who really have championed Web3 gaming over the years, we're all disappointed in where the space is currently. But I do think there is a future if people can actually turn the levers a little bit on the backside, tweak the engine and just kind of say, hey, here's what's not worked. We talked about what didn't work in this video. And yes, this is a little more of a rant than alpha video, but we have to go over it. It's almost the end of 2025. We're 4 years into crypto gaming being a main narrative in crypto, and there has really been no long-term successes, especially as an individual game perspective. Sure, IMX, they're still functioning, doing well. Ronin still functioning. They're alive and they have good products on their ecosystem, like Fableborn, which just launched, but from an individual game perspective, it's literally a 99.9% fail rate. And I really want to see some changes because everyone runs the same playbook. We're going to have to adapt if this industry is going to survive into 2026. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, it was a little bit of a rant, but I'm out here visiting family. I'm not at my normal setup. And I think it was really appropriate before the end of 2025 to address what the heck is happening in the crypto gaming space. Why can't this industry catch fire? What are projects doing wrong? And what should they change in the future to potentially turn this around and actually make crypto gaming great again? So guys, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, I want to read all your comments down below. What do you think is wrong with crypto gaming? Is there any future for crypto gaming? I think that any opinion's valid. If you wanted to say today that Web3 gaming is essentially dead, I wouldn't say you're wrong, right? So let me know, do you think it has a future? Do you think it's absolutely dead forever? I want to read your comments down below. And this will be the last video before Christmas. So I do want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, if whatever you celebrate. Just a big time happy holiday wishes from myself, the Crypto Banter team, and the In the Game team that brings these shows to you every single day. We have one of the best teams in the industry, and I'm definitely blessed to have all of you viewing the show and also behind the scenes to make this happen. So I'll see you guys after the holidays. As always, trade well, my friends, stay bullish, and play well, my friends.